Yeah.
Go. Hi everybody, welcome to Turner's Outdoorsman. Thanks for coming. Our seminars are a little bit different now with COVID. We're limited to fewer people, so we're all spaced nicely. Art and I are going to leave our masks on, so just let us know if you can't hear us. We're really privileged to have our guest speaker, Art Taylor. He's owner-operator of Searcher Sport Fishing, and the best crew he can get is Celia and Aaron. Thanks for coming and helping along. She's getting you guys onto Facebook.
Captain Mike.
Captain Mike is right here too. He runs the Searcher also. And so today we're going to talk about offshore fishing. Any questions? It's a question and answer that you have our Art, myself, any of us, and also on Facebook. You guys out there, thanks for tuning in too. You've got any questions that you want to type in? We are going to have a raffle. We'll have a separate raffle here for the people that are in the store. And then also we've got a special raffle for you guys out there in Facebook land. So take it there from there, Art.
Well, thanks a lot for showing up tonight. Happy to have you here. Thanks to Lori for having us. And we're going to primarily cover artificial lures with what's been working here recently. Mike has been on the boat and was on a trip last weekend and is going right back out tomorrow. And so we're going to talk about artificial lures and some tips for that. There's a variety of flat fall knife type jigs out there. We're really lucky that Tady Lures has provided us with the new latest and greatest.
They call it their slow pitch jig.
Slow pitch jig, okay. And we got some fancy colors, and they're already pre-rigged and they're reasonably priced. And they also have some hooks that you can re-rig your flat falls or whatever type flat fall lure that you have with pre-rigged hooks. And so that's exciting news that Tady's doing that. And so we're glad that they provided us with some info. And I understand that these lures are only available in this store right now, so that's pretty awesome that we got an exclusive on that. And so the slow pitch lure, pretty sexy.
One out of the package.
Yeah, here's one that's already rigged up with the double hooks, and it's got a 200-pound mono leader crimped. It's about 30 inches long. I wouldn't go much shorter than that. And so this is rigged up now to a triple speed Avet reel with 80-pound test. And so that is one of the examples for fishing with a flat fall.
Just to note on these hooks, just to let you know, you guys could, there's a lot of assist hooks out there. I'm sure Mike and Art have seen once in a while you'll get a fish that's been on the hook long enough that he's going to wear away and break that string that's there on the assist hooks. So Tady came out with a hook that has 49 strand wire on it. It's the strength of 65-pound test, and then it's coated with a Kevlar coating. So the teeth aren't going to wear through this and break that. That does happen, especially on a lure that you've caught a lot of fish on. It can fray. So this is going to be tooth-proof for you.
Sorry.
So. Go ahead, Art.
Okay, so several options. There's 350 gram, 320 gram, and then 250 gram is the weight. And then they have a really small one that's been effective too, and this is 120 gram. And we recommend that you go with the heavier one just in case you get out there and the weather is up a little bit and it's windy. If you only brought 120 gram, then you're not going to get down to the bite zone. So if you have the 250 or the 320 gram lure, then you're going to get down to that bite zone, and that's important. If it's calm, then the boat's not moving a whole lot, then you can go down to those 120 gram lures. So there's several options with Shimano and Daiwa, and there's knockoffs that are out there that are effective. And so we just talked about this with one of the people in the audience here about marking your spectra on your reel, because Mike is going to be in the wheelhouse if you're coming on the Searcher and he finds a school of bluefin tuna and he sees it on the depth sounder, and he's going to come on the PA and say, okay, you need to go to 240 feet. Well, if you don't mark your spectra, then how do you know how deep you really are? And so we talked about it with this gentleman here, and so he went out in his cul-de-sac and he put every 60 feet at 60 feet he put a mark on the street with a spray can, and then stretched 60 feet out and marked that on his spectra. So with a black Sharpie you can mark your spectra. It's
60 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, you said 120, so I'm getting there.
Yeah.
So you can go 60 feet, and then 120 feet, 180 feet, and 240 feet, and that gets you to 40 fathoms. And there is a tip that you can use different colored Sharpie to mark your spectra at each depth, at each length. And Mike brought up something that I hadn't thought about. I was just thinking you just mark it a couple inches. Well, Mike says, mark it 12 inches long or 18 inches long, because it's going off of your reel so fast that if it's just a small mark like that, then you miss it and you don't really know how deep you are. So that was a great
tip. And if we fill your reels here too, just remind us, and as we're filling your new grade, then we'll stop, and every 100 feet we'll do like you said, a black Sharpie, a nice long, so you can count it. So, but you got to let us know if you want that. We don't mind doing that for you guys at all.
Oh, that's even better. That's even better.
So we've got a question from Facebook. It says, what knot would you use to tie that 200-pound leader to your line? Crimping, right?
So, yeah, that 200-pound leader comes with specific crimps. When you buy the mono, if you're buying a 25-foot roll of 200-pound leader material, then it will specify what size crimp you need to use with that, so that it's connected correctly. And wherever you're buying it, if you're buying it here at Turner's or whatever, they can direct you to the right size crimp. And then so you have a swivel on the end, and we're just tying 80-pound on there with a San Diego jam knot. Very simple to tie a San Diego jam knot. You can do a single or a double, but that would be the proper connection for 200-pound to 80-pound.
It makes an awful big knot if you try to tie a knot with 200-pound line.
Yeah, that doesn't work. So crimping works the best.
Method.
Yeah. So, the one thing that we recommend, and I want Mike to go over this. Can you talk about the assist hooks that since the here you go, Mike.
All right. So a lot of these flat falls and stuff, that they come with these really small hooks, and what they're attached with is seems to get worn out pretty easily. So on pretty much all the flat falls, except for these little ones, if you're fishing smaller fish, it's usually fine. But you catch 3 or 4 fish, and seem to start losing fish after that because the hooks break off. And I haven't seen these ones yet, but with the wire here. But like I said, we pretty much change them all out as soon as we get them. These stock ones aren't all that great. And same with these the Colt snipers. We don't put the assist hooks on them, but we do change the hooks and the rings out right when we get them. These little treble hooks on here tend to straighten out quite a bit, and the rings that come with these also tend to bend a little bit.
So tell us what sort of hook and what sort of connection are you using for those assist hooks?
We get a bigger split ring, and I think Shimano makes another assist hook. I know Mustad does, and then obviously these Tady ones. Like I said, I haven't tried one of these yet, so they look like they'd work pretty good. But typically a bigger hook as well. Yeah, it's something bigger with the better connection there, and those are just looped over and connected with a bigger, heavier split ring as well.
So you're just taking the split ring and put it on the end of the lure.
Yep.
And then you're just putting the hooks on the split ring, so
yep.
there's no leader material or anything like that.
No,
is that right?
No. The assist hooks, the ones you'll get, will have some sort of Spectra or something that attached to it.
Okay. So you buy assist hooks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Just to replace the assist hooks that come with the lure.
Okay. And I assume that do passengers have that, or we have assist hooks available if they wanted us to change all that stuff out? You could do it right on board the boat. And I would assume that whether you're coming on the Searcher or you're going on any of these other boats that are fishing this method with flat fall lures and assist hooks, and then they would have that on board that you could change your hooks out. But that's pretty key. So, as a tuna gets bigger, their teeth get bigger. So a 20-pounder's got really small teeth. And so if you hook a 25 to 40-pound fish on this lure that has the stock assist hooks on it, you're probably okay. But if you're fishing with 80-pound and you hook a 150-pounder, then your chances of losing the fish because of the stock assist hooks that are on the lure. So, hedge your bet and change your assist hooks.
And that's the thing, a lot of the schools are seeing.
So you're putting bigger single hooks, right? Bigger?
Yeah, just the same assist hooks, but just bigger with a heavier gauge line on them. A lot of the schools are all mixed up grades, so 30 to 150 pounds. So a lot of times you don't know what you're gonna hook. Teresa. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about good old Tady 4.0 and Salas 6X Juniors. I know that that these really work good, but just recently the standard yo-yo lure has been working pretty good.
Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah. So that it seems like the sort of 30 or 40 to 80 pound, 70 pound fish do like to bite these pretty good, or they have been at least lately. The past couple years, sort of just a heavy, shiny lure. Classic Tady 4.0 or Salas 6X Junior in chrome. Seems for some reason that grade of fish seems to be biting these on the sink or on the wind. Last weekend we were out, that you had to fish them on like 50 pound. So you tie a piece of fluorocarbon on, 50 or 60 pound. We were losing quite a few of them, but that was the only way to get a bite. So a lot of times they eat it on the sink and they swallow it, and when you come tight, that it's down in their gut, so they chew them off. But
that bite was keyed onto that jig specifically?
Just these and the Salas 6X Juniors and little shiny candy, just small yo-yo lures or even big ones, just chrome yo-yo lures seem to be getting bit pretty well.
Any way to mouth hook them? You think you could, right?
Well,
You're fast enough?
no, they just swallow it. They just slurp them up. Yeah. Same thing that happens with the flat falls. That's why you put these leaders on them like this.
So, just a question, Mike. You said that in order to get a bite, you had to have 50 pounds. So a 200-pound leader on one of these lures wouldn't get a bite.
Yeah, it wouldn't have last summer.
Okay, so that's great. That's
you got to
good to know.
Adapt to what's going on, but That was our recommendation. It seemed like every time we stopped the boat, you know, we get a few guys fishing these, and they'd all get a bite. So it's a pretty good indication that it's working.
Yeah, I'd say.
Fishing single hooks with surface iron? Or are you still treble?
I still fish with the treble hook.
Were there fish on the surface last weekend that
Yeah.
you could try?
Yeah, I think Ryan hooked one on a skip jig.
Oh, okay.
They're up breezing around and eating bait on the surface, so sometimes you can catch them on the surface iron or the skip jig or something.
Wouldn't it be an advantage to have a big single hook in that situation or not?
No, I don't think so. I think you're less likely to hook them,
Oh, yeah.
but they're more likely to fall off if you do hook them. So it's, you know.
What would be your go-to jig for a skip jig?
We get Tady 45.
Any particular color?
No.
Doesn't make any difference, just as
I don't
long
think
as you
so.
skip
Yeah,
it.
it's just about the action.
Anyone try poppers?
I tried last
There you go.
Did it work?
weekend. No, then I did hear another boat getting one of them trying to plunker bite.
Look behind you when you're casting with those poppers, please. There are lots of multiple sharp hooks.
That's it. You're not going to miss the water. So.
That's right. Thank you, Bill Poole. You're not going to miss the ocean. So, any other questions? How are we doing so far? We good? Okay. That covers the artificial. There's one other method that works really well, and that is a sinker rig. So you have a, you want torpedo sinkers in your tackle box. So this is a 6 ounce. So 6 to 16 ounces. And once again, it's a weather dependent thing. If it's breezy, your 6 ounce torpedo sinker may not get down to the bite zone, but so you may have to put 12 or 16 ounces on. And so you're putting your sinker on with on your above your leader, right, Mike?
Yeah.
So if you have a fluorocarbon leader, and then you have a 5 to 7/0 circle hook tied on the end, and your leader, your fluorocarbon should at least match the mono that you have on your reel. And then you're going to take, and right above the leader, you're going to, with a rubber band, you're going to put the sinker on. Let me help you there.
Yeah, you
So it's pretty simple.
just loop it through like that. If you're above your fluorocarbon knot, it's not going to slide down.
It won't slide down.
That's gonna bring your bait down for you.
You don't tie the bottom?
No, because
No, you just leave it on the one?
yeah, because if you tie the both sides on, it doesn't tend to break away as easily.
The whole key of that rubber band when they came up with it is that, so you're down there, you're dropping down, all of a sudden there's foil on the surface, you can quickly reel it up, break it off, and then you're on the surface. Or sometimes the crew is trying to, your fish is getting closer, that weight is banging around, it might hit the hook out, it's gonna get in the way, they can reach out and just break it off. So I think, like you said, when you do the rubber band both at the bottom, that's eliminating the whole purpose of trying to break it off.
Yeah.
I have a question from Facebook from Howard Fulmer. He asked for live bait on the sinker rig, what size line and hook do you recommend right now?
With that grade of fish we were fishing last week, of like 40 to 60 pound fish, we were fishing 50 pound and fluorocarbon to match. And then, you know, once you start fishing the bigger fish, 80, 100 pound and up, you fish 80 pound.
Thank you.
And what size hook?
Like a 2-0 Mutu. These are ones, but like a 2-0 hook, 2-0 circle hook. You want to fish a circle hook.
So a smaller hook, you're not using a 5.0 or
No.
6.0, it's a 2.0. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great info. And remember, when you're fishing with a sinker, you're nose hooking your bait. You don't want to collar hook it, or you don't want to belly hook it. You want to nose hook it, because it's being drugged down by the sinker as it's going down to depth to the bite zone. And if it's belly hooked, it's going to rip out on the way down, and so you want it nose hooked so that it looks lifelike when as it's sinking.
Is there a reason you're using fluorocarbon on the iron? I mean, wouldn't just regular mono?
You mean on these lures?
Yeah.
Yeah, just for abrasion resistance,
Oh,
pretty
okay.
much. It's a
So
little.
that's like-
It holds
Well,
up better than mono.
50 pounds, huh?
What's that?
That's 50 pounds?
This isn't.
That one's 200. When
Oh,
they pre-rig,
200.
they go
Yeah.
heavy 1 to 200.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, if you hook a 150 pounder and they're out there, yesterday the boats had schools and bites on 80 to 180 pound fish. As I said in the beginning, the bigger the fish, the bigger the teeth. And so if you don't have a heavy mono leader, then you're going to lose the fish and you're going to lose your $50 lure.
And that's why you want a circle hook, because a
Yeah.
J hook can end up in the throat, and
Yeah.
then that line is going
That's a
across the teeth.
$50 iron, huh? Cool.
It is, but that's rigged.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a pretty reasonable
Yeah.
this is the new exclusive Tady lure.
So you don't make those clamps or connections yourself. That's all pre-done, huh?
This actually came out of the package like this, right, Lori? This came out of the package like this.
Out of the package just like that. A lot of you guys will spend $20 on, there's that hook, $20 on a lure. I see it all the time. And then you'll spend another $8 on some split rings, and then you'll spend another $10 on some hooks, and then you go home and rig it yourself. These guys are professional riggers. It's rigged really well, good crimps, and it's $50, but you got $50 into your lure by the time you buy all the parts and do it yourself. And if you don't have the proper crimpers, or you don't do it all the time, you may not actually get it done, completely right either. But we're finding that more and more, that I think it's part of the hobby. Everybody wants to do their own custom little thing on it. Kind of makes it more fun too. So that does seem like a lot of money, but you're putting that into it when you guys are buying all the different stuff to re-rig it. So we're ready to go.
So the knot, is that just a regular?
Yeah, it's San Diego jam knot.
Yep.
On the front?
Right here.
Yeah, right there.
Yep.
Or something special.
Just a San Diego jam knot.
I tied it, so it's ugly.
Is that one glow in the dark, or just curious?
I don't think.
Yeah,
Well, it looks like it has glow in the dark on the stripes, the horizontal
It does.
stripes.
And
Yeah.
the stripes, actually, when that thing's falling, it's the stripe and then no glow, glow, no glow. So it's actually kind of a flashy, more than like a solid glow.
Would you
That's
bite
what-
that?
That's what us humans think.
Yeah, you would bite that, Lori?
If I had some stronger teeth, I would. I'm tying it on tomorrow morning. I'm going out for a trip, and I'm gonna fish those and see what happens. So.
Good luck.
Alright.
Another question,
Yeah,
Aaron.
this is from James Blanchard. On the chrome Tady, would you put leader on it, or fish just the way it is?
I wouldn't put a leader on it. Just maybe a piece of fluorocarbon. They tie straight to your line and then tie onto here. Not a heavy leader. Just whatever, just to match your mono, just for a little more abrasion resistance. I don't think the lure would swim as good if you did this.
Yeah, a little heavy.
So that's just for the sink, right?
No, you get bit on the line too.
Yeah, either one. It flutters, kind of soars when it's fluttering, so you get them big, but then as you're reeling it up, you could
You
get
don't
big.
want to use it like a surface iron.
No.
No, it's heavy. I mean, you felt that one that went around. That was the 250 gram. This one's even heavier. So, yeah, that thing. No, and you don't have to cast this. That's
but down
really
and line it
the beauty of this fishery, is that you can just drop it over the side, put it in free spool, and you don't want to cast. You just let it go and let it sink. And with your your specter or your braid is marked at the various depths, then you know when Mike comes on the PA and says, okay, 180 feet, you know where you're at in depth is a hunt.
Average 180 feet.
It's different every day.
It's
different every day.
Yeah.
But that's the key in using a heavy enough sinker weight with the rubber band.
You want to get
You want, if you go lighter, he's like, they're under us, drop it down. Well, the current's taking you out, and by the time you get down there, you're not even on the spot anymore. So.
And that's another thing, talk to the crew, and they maybe just got in off of a trip, and so they know exactly what worked yesterday or the day before. And then there's a seminar on the way out that provides you with real-time info on how to rig. So that's important. And, the crew will tell you, okay, the weather looks really good, so you don't have to use a 16-ounce sinker. You can use a 6 or an 8. And, you can use these smaller 120-gram lures if you have them. Or they're going to say, hey, it's a little windy out there, so go heavier.
Mm-hmm.
How are we doing, Celia?
I'm wondering, has everybody gone out on a sport boat out here before? Anybody going to be new to it? Okay, good. And out there in Facebook, if you got questions on what's it like to get on a sport boat, what's the process, or you're a little nervous getting on, you can always call Celia to call at the sport, but it's not as scary as you think. You're going to get along like the herd of people, and you're all going to get on. They're going to direct you to your room, what room is yours, what bunk is yours if you happen to have bunks, where to put your tackle. So anyway, just wanted to know if anybody was unfamiliar with what it's like to actually go out on a sport boat. Feel free to ask.
This is from Stephen Carroll. Would a Fathom 40M be a good reel for a fish 40 to 80 pounds?
Perfect. Yeah, perfect reel for it.
All right, there you go.
That's it. We have about 10 of those on the boat, and that's what we use. So definitely perfect reel for it.
When you use the like a little 4.0 or anything, you get customers like that? Or?
Yeah.
Lots of them, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, those.
I'd recommend.
It's a little more work.
Yeah.
It is. Good thing they have a low gear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They make just 2 speeds for a reason.
Yeah.
You want at least something that's going to hold some 80 or 100 pound braid. Is going to be ideal for those bigger fish. So.
I have another question from Steve. Are there rooms reservable on the Searcher?
Absolutely. When you make your reservation, if you've been on the boat before and you know what cabin you want, then you can ask for that cabin when you make your reservation. If you haven't been on the Searcher, you can reference the website, and there's a schematic on the website that shows you a drawing of where the cabins are. Just remember that. So in the bow, it's going to be a little bit more. It's going to be quieter because you're further from the engines, but there's more motion in the bow. And if you don't mind the engine noise, then you're close in the stern compartment. There's less motion, but a little bit more noise.
Is the Searcher 105 foot or
95 feet? Yeah.
Also, they have a great chef on board. One thing, I think the theory with sport boats, if you don't catch fish, you at least got to have good food, so you don't go home, if you didn't happen to have a great fishing day, at least you had some great food to eat. Searcher has wonderful chefs on board, and they cater to any dietary needs, gluten-free, diabetic, whatever your thing is. You let the chef know, and they will prepare your meals according to what your dietary needs are, too.
A question about flying fish. So can you talk about flying fish? And one question in particular is about if somebody brings their own flying fish, would you rig it for them?
Sure.
Yeah, we have Kite Rigs, kite rod and reel setups that are already rigged up. Mike, tell them what they're rigged with.
Our Kite Setups, I think, we've got now we have 3 accurate ATD 50s with on a Seeker 2x4 with loaded up with 200-pound Spectra, and we tie that straight to for our dead flyers that we rig them up with the wings open, and it's attached to 400-pound mono with a 12-0 stainless steel mustad and like a 10-0 treble hook for a stinger hook, and we actually that's primarily how we fish those.
But you pretty much have enough flying fish on
Yeah.
board. Somebody doesn't need to.
No, yeah, we have our own on the boat, but
So you actually spread out the wings, and the
Yeah.
idea is you're going to skip them on the surface?
no, it's they actually lay sort of dormant there.
Oh, yeah.
You work it on the way out, just slowly on the way out, and then just let it sit there where the bite zone is.
Have you had luck this year with it?
Oh, we haven't. We haven't fished yet this year. Because typically it's only the bigger grade of fish, 100-pound and up that we fish those with, 100-pound and up.
They're out there.
Yeah.
So if this gentleman wanted to bring his own flying fish, we could set him
Sure.
up with the boat rod and spread the wings for him and rig it up and make it so that it would work.
Yeah, when it's his turn, we'll send his bait out.
Absolutely.
No problem.
So clarify that we have dead frozen ones on board
Yes.
rather than the rubber ones.
Yep.
Yeah, and sometimes you guys use sardines too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you
you
use
guys doing
live
that too.
sardines sometimes? Or?
Yeah, we do.
And they bite those too.
We do. The way we rig that up is 200-pound mono, and it's we call it a double treble. So there'll be two leaders coming off with like a 3 or 4-0 Mutu circle hook, and you shoulder hook a bait on each one, and they dance around on the surface. That's pretty effective at times. That's one of our favorite way to catch yellowfin at Guadalupe.
I was gonna say Guadalupe.
Yeah. As far as those bigger bluefin go, they typically key in on those flying fish. That's what they like. Yeah.
Is there any yellowfin mixed in with these bluefin or not? It's all just bluefin.
I've not seen one yet. I'm sure at some point there will be, but
There has been in the past. We've had mixed
Yeah.
schools last year and the year before.
typically a little later in the year you start seeing those mixed
Does the water
schools.
need to warm up a little for them?
I'd say so.
Generally, when we get into August and September, the water just warms up. Sea surface temperature warms up because it's, inherently warmer. Just the climate is warmer. And, there are times when hurricanes that are down south push warmer water up into our zone, and so that's another reason that the water gets warmer. And so summer and fall is when we, anticipate some yellowfin tuna showing up. I'm sure they'll be around.
Great.
You guys think that the bluefins still stay off of Colonnade at this point, or they're still pushing up into our zone now? Or if you went down there, you see some spots of them down there as well.
Or you probably would if it found the right bit of water.
I think there's 3 different areas of bluefin right now. There's an area that's out west of San Diego. There's one that's west of Ensenada. There's 2 areas out west. So, and I don't think that there's been, because the fish has showed up closer and out to the west, there hasn't been a boat that has been down outside of Colonnade and San Quintin in a while because they haven't had to go that far. But there used to be, there was a pretty good structure of water down there that in the beginning when this all started, that's where that fish was at. And if that water structure is still there, then I'm sure that there's bluefin down there too. We just haven't had to go that far.
Can I ask you a question? So on a private boat, what would be the range of you trolling, looking on depth 200 feet, 300 feet? Are you going down to 600 feet looking for schools while you're driving around? Looking for schools?
When I'm driving around, we have our fathom meter set at 80 fathoms typically, so 480 feet.
So you're kind of staying at that depth?
Well, anywhere in between there and the surface, you'll see them on the fathom meter.
How much of depth can your sonar cover at one time? So sometimes you guys like, oh, I missed it. It was too high. Like when you're looking at a specific amount of water, how much water does that cover?
That'll also depend on the weather. If it's choppy and rolly, you can't shoot up that high. But if it's flat, you can scan right along the surface and anywhere between there and straight down.
Oh, so you don't see them because they're in front.
If you're rolling around, you have to shoot a little lower, so you'll miss them if they're up high until they're right next to the boat.
And then there's some yellowtail out there too right now, right? Have you guys got into those yet, or?
Yeah, we've done a little bit of that, but I think the bluefin fishing has been so good lately, so we've been primarily targeting on that and falling back on the yellowtail if needed, or if we catch enough bluefin.
Are they running with any of the yellowtail, like the patties, or?
Yeah, that's where we're seeing them in the kelps.
So do you think these bluefins are a resident population? Is that possible? They're year-round now?
I'd say there's some that never left, yeah.
Some commercial fisherman was telling me it's because of the pens, that they're raising the bluefins in the Coronado Islands, and the eggs are like dropping down, and they're actually growing here. Is that possible?
I don't know.
I have been told of a few like small little
Yeah.
bluefin like this, so they're thinking that they've spawned.
Yeah,
And
so it could be true. It just sounds crazy.
Is the mix of fish, like the 40 to 130 pound schools, a good sign that this population is growing?
I personally think that it's a resident stock.
Yeah.
And it's been around now for 15 years or so. We were catching big, 100-pound bluefin 15 years ago, and I firmly believe that it's a resident stock. And it's all based on food source, and it's based on water temperature. And, where they find the food source and the right water temperature, then they're happy. And I firmly believe that there's a resident stock of bluefin tuna from probably Point Conception down to Cedros Island, up to 200 or 300 miles offshore. There's a resident population, a resident stock. Because we catch them, we catch 8 to 12 pounders from time to time, and we let those go. So an 8 to 12 pound tuna is just months old. And so obviously they're spawning in this area.
Yeah.
All the way up to Point Conception, huh?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think that, we've, in the fall, just south of San Miguel Island 2 years ago, we saw a giant school of 100 to 300 pound tuna jumping around. So that's, within 50 miles of Point Conception. It was just south of San Miguel Island. So, yeah.
A question from earlier, could you review the bluefin lures that are working best right now by weight and color, if you have any preferences, and your best suggestion for outfits? Fish and blue.
The
okay, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah, you know.
the lures we were fishing those 50 or the 40 to 60 pound fish seemed like if we could get a smaller lure down, 100 to 150 grams, 100 to 150 gram flat fall. I'm not sure how big that is, but something like this size seemed to be working the best. As far as color, but I don't know if it matters, but it probably does. I don't. Something shiny, I guess, during the day, and something that glows at night. And like with that grade of fish, these heavy yo-yo lures were working pretty well. And as far as when you get into the bigger grade of fish, it seems like bigger lures seem to work better. And that may just be because the fish, the bigger ones tend to hang out deeper under the boat, or because you tend to lose the smaller ones when you hook the bigger ones more. So have one of each, big one and a small one.
And then outfit wise, you know, you got to have a 2-speed reel with an 80-pound top shot. And if you have a rail rod, that helps a lot too. And you know, you want 100 to 135 pound braid on there, depending upon the size of the reel. Lori, you could probably cover that.
We've got a lot of choices. Everybody makes every brand. Daiwa, Shimano, Okuma, Penn, all makes great stuff. You're going to want something that holds, you know, 80 to 100 pound braid at least. So some of your options, I don't have the Penn 40, the Penn Fathom 40 narrow in stock. That's a very popular one. It's a little bit bigger and taller. This is the 30, and it's this size. This happens to be the Penn Torque. This is the American version. It has a cut frame instead of a forged frame. Your Fathom has a forged frame, so this is twice the price of this. But these are under $300 for the Fathoms, and lots of drag on them. Great workhorse reel. Also, Shimano makes the Speedmaster, which is under $300 for a size 20 or any of these other bigger sizes. The Shimano Talica, this is a size 16. This holds an 80-pound braid. I just sold today, so I don't have it. The size 20, which holds a 100-pound braid, is good. And then Daiwa Saltiga just came out with their newest Saltiga version, 2-speed. Beautiful reel. I won one, so I can't wait to fish it tomorrow. I haven't fished those yet. And then Makairas, Okuma Makairas, got the nice big handle to hang on to, lots of drag. Also accurate. So really every brand. And then Avet, you'd want at least the HX Raptor. I fished this one, but you can go bigger. There's two schools of thought. I like fishing lighter, smaller reels, so I choose things in this size. They'll still do the job. A lot of guys are like, well, if I'm going to go big and this is going to be my big setup, then I'm just going to go big. Might as well just go bigger. Then you never have to, you know, you can just go down from there. But I just find, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a girl, but I find, especially on my longer range 7 and 10 day trips, it gets heavy holding that, especially if you're fishing those big fish every day. After a while, I'm like, I'm tired of holding this big, heavy set. So I tend to go with the smaller, a little bit smaller reel. You want at least 300 to 400 yards of line, because sometimes it's a long soak, or those fish will bite and they take off faster than you know, especially if you got one that's, you know, in the 100+ range. So you want to make sure that you have enough line. I would say minimum 300 yards of line. And then, so in these reels, you can spend anywhere from about $280 for a reel up to $500 for a rod, depending on the manufacturer. And Phoenix makes a great, they're on the middle to the high side, but you can get a really nice rail rod rated like 40 to 100. In Phoenix, they have the Access, which is a composite rod. There's a little bit of fiberglass in it, so it's a little more comfortable, I feel, with the bend. But the 100% graphite rods work great too. They don't quite have the comfort of the flex and the tip. We've got Seekers, CalStars. They're all American made, so they're a little more pricey. They work great. But if you're not into spending, a lot of people are saying, I don't know how long these fish are going to be here. I don't want to spend $1,000 on a setup that I might only use a couple times. So literally with a Graphtec, a nice Graphtec rail rod, they're about $200, $210. You put one of those, and they're still very good quality. They're just better priced. But you could put together, literally for around $500, you could get a really nice setup that's not going to cost you, you know, as much as some of the other ones. And it's just your preference. Some people like to spend more, buy once, they never have to replace it. But I'm still going to say, with these Fathoms, the Speedmasters, and some of the lesser expensive rods, you still can't go wrong. You're not going to break them. They're very heavy rods. So it's just what's in your budget, and maybe you like Shimano, so you just get Shimano. Maybe you like Penn, Abbott. So you can't go wrong on anyone, but like I said, basically you know, for a decent setup, you're going to spend $500 to $1,000, depending on what you pick.
By a rail rod, you mean that long foregrip that you
Yes,
rest
so
on the
this is
rail
up
with the
higher,
sound?
basically. It's a little bit higher up, so if
Yeah,
you do
yeah.
lay it on the rail, you're not going to be scratching your blank
Yeah.
or anything.
And
It used,
they won't break. Right?
and we used to do a lot of rail fishing, and then it seemed like for a while, maybe 20 years ago, the IGFA world records, you can't touch the rail, you can't let anybody else. So then people got away from the rail. Oh, that's for wussies, you know, they're using the rail. But now everybody's using the rail again, so I use the rail too. It's more comfortable.
Smart. The
maybe
rail's your
boat-
friend.
The rail is your friend. You can get a lot of leverage with it. You can sit on it like a seesaw, lay it on there, and people put it between their legs like a seesaw to help them. I tend to put mine under my arm, and then I will be on the outside of the rail like this, so I can still, if I'm on the inside of the rail, my hand's going to hit the rail. On the outside of the rail, you can turn it, but you're not trying to hold all that weight. You're just resting this on the rail, and you can even run down the rail and slide it down like this. So the rail is your friend, like Art said. Don't hesitate to use the rail.
So no one uses harnesses. I guess.
You don't see that anymore. The braid harnesses.
They're very cumbersome, and you know, getting in and out of them can, you know, take precious time, and usually it's at the wrong time. That's really old school, and
we still use our belts, though. A lot of people
still use a rod belt.
Yeah,
sure.
a lot of
but
people like a rod belt.
harnesses. Yeah, we rarely see harnesses
anymore.
Yeah. One thing to point out about, you know, all these suggestions and budget and that sort of thing. Obviously, if you're planning on going on 1 or 2 trips a year and you're going to continue to do that, then you want to invest in, you know, a good outfit that you're going to use over and over and over again. If you're thinking, well, maybe I'll try it once, but I don't want to spend the money, then we have loaner gear on board the boat that you're welcome to use. And just when you make a reservation, you can tell Aaron or Celia, hey, I need a heavy outfit. I need a loaner outfit. And so we'll have that, and we have accurate, and we have Penn reels and on board that you know, are maintained annually, and they have new line on them. And so we have loaner gear on board that you know, will save you a few bucks. And maybe, you know, if you're new to the sport, or if you haven't done this sort of trip and you don't want to lay out that kind of money, you want to try it out to make sure that, yeah, I really want to go on 3 to 5 day trips, or however long the trip might be, then you can use our gear, and then after that you can make the investment.
According. And do you
Yeah.
charge for that, or no? They
No, we
just
don't
loan
charge
it?
for that.
Okay, they
It's
don't
just
charge
loaner
for that.
gear.
Yeah. Another thing, I don't know if you guys have any fish, so we're blessed to be able to do Turner's and Iserline sponsored trips. The Searcher does a lot of Seeker, different manufacturers do sponsored trips. But if you have a chance to get on a sponsored trips, it'll say open party, anybody can go, but it's sponsored by, say, Turner's or whoever it is. You're going to get a chance to win some, and we bring swag, like we said, raffle prizes. This year is going to be a little tight because of COVID. We don't have much to give away. But on sponsored trip, you usually get some free stuff. Your charter master, when I go as charter master, I bring plenty of my own gear, and I'm willing to put it in the hands of anybody, hand off. And you can try our gear too, because if I let you fish all my different reels, you might like one, and then you may come in and buy one from me. So between the boats equipment, and if you have a charter master on there too, there's usually some equipment that you can try some different stuff, which is kind of cool. So.
Yes, sir.
What size of rod, the minimum weight?
What size rod?
How much flex?
Lori?
So for these bluefin, so I'll fish, generally hope you don't have to drop down to 30 pound or something. I know people try to do that to get more bites, and usually hear from the captain and go, no less than a certain, because they don't want to wait on you, one person that decided to drive your 20 out there. Now we got an hour of watching you to get your fish. So you don't want to drop down that low. Yeah, or we waste an hour and then you don't get it in the end. So you're going to want something really a minimum of, like an ideal would be something in the 30 to 80 line class range, or 40 to 100. Graphtec on the lightest side, I would go with their 50 to 60 pound rod up to their 80 to their 100 or even bigger. You don't want to be undergunned. And the rod, you get too light of a rod and you're going to be working a lot, and that thing's going to be bending over the rail. So you want to make sure you have a nice strong tip on it so that it can do the work. A lot of people don't let their rod do the work. They keep holding their rod and they're cranking and they're cranking and they're high and they're cranking and cranking. Now your rod's not do the work. You lay your rod on the rail, you give it a crank, the tip's going to bend. You stop, let the tip come up on itself. That's the rod working for you. You give it another crank, it's going to bend down. You stop, you watch your rod, it's going to lift for you. You're going to save yourself a lot of energy by allowing your rod tip to do the work for you. So you want a heavy enough rod that it can do that job for you.
Does anyone make shorter rods? Those are what, 7 foot?
7 to 8, I think you guys can confirm, but I think especially on the sport boats, I would say you want a minimum of a 7.5 foot. Part of that is that when those bigger fish come up and they start doing that death circle and you've got a 6.5 foot rod, you can't push him away from the boat. Your rod's right here hanging over the rail. That fish is doing his death circle under the boat. Every time he goes under the boat, you're taking a chance that he's going to break that line. So I think, but you guys confirm that at least a 7.5 foot rod so you can keep that fish pushed, so it's not underneath the boat when it's doing its circle. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, and then you get too long, and just the physics of that leverage and a 9-foot rod, and you're on the other end, it's no fun at all. So like, I would stop myself at no more than maybe 8.2 or something, or down to a 7.5 foot. I see a lot of these young boys with throwing their 10-foot rods, and they need help. It takes them an hour. They're around the rod. They're on their knees. So it's really cool. I got a 10-foot rod, but it's not cool when you're fighting a big fish. So
Don't they bring those for surface fire?
they do, but you can catch a big fish, and then now you got to fight it with a seesaw that's 10 foot long.
Great info, Lori. Thank you. A question? Yes. Oh.
Sir, you allow bait casters on fishing for bluefin?
Bait casters?
You allow bait casters on a boat when you're fishing for bluefin?
Well,
So
like the train.
The tranks, you're a little undergunned. I mean,
Wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend for that great a fish. That it just doesn't have the durability to last with bigger fish like that.
And they're single speed as well.
And they're single. Yeah, that's a great point. They're single speed. So I would recommend, if you don't have something, then you can either, through Fisherman's Landing where the Searcher operates, you can rent, or if you're going on the Searcher, then make sure that we have a loaner gear set up for you. Okay, well, I think that we're getting close to the end here, and I think that once the store closes, then there's going to be a time frame for everybody to shop, and there's discounts. Yeah. Do we want to do a raffle after we're done with Facebook, or?
So you guys, first of all, you guys all got a piece of paper with coupons. So that's just for tonight. So if you need to get a big setup and you're buying a $500 reel, you're going to save $50. So if you buy a reel tonight, you're getting 10% off the price. If you buy a rod, you're getting 10% off the price. You're getting 15% off of all lures. So if you get the $50 lure from Tady, you're going to save $5. I guess that would be 10%. So tonight, as you shop, know that the coupons are only good for tonight. So you all have those. And then we have one raffle, a few items with a raffle, but we're just going to do a kind of a grand prize. We didn't really talk too much about throwing poppers, but this is a perfect popper setup. And really,
you allow spinning gear on your boat?
Certainly.
Yeah, they do.
That's stronger than that.
Yeah. Okay. So because a popper is super lightweight, poppers like this You know, there's Shimano, Halcons, all kinds, but they're super light. So you try to throw those with your conventional reel, and you fight birds' nests and everything else. So it's nice to get a spinning setup like this. This is a Graptec rod rated 30 to 40. This isn't necessarily the size for a bluefin, but I don't throw poppers at big bluefin because I don't want to fight a 100-pound fish with my line under here because now I can't use the rail. So I usually just throw these at those like smaller schoolie yellowfin, but it's a lot of fun. So we're going to raffle this off. Also, if you invite someone to come fishing with you and they're not familiar with conventional reels or anything, this is a great reel that that you can hand off to someone that's user-friendly. It has a live bait feeder, so if they live bait fish, you're not having to loosen your top drag so your fish can swim. Then you get bit and you're tightening your drag. Instead, you set your drag to where your strike distance is, and then you lift your bait runner feature right here. That puts you down to this lower drag. You make it nice and light. Your fish is swimming. You get bit, you turn the handle. You get bit, you turn the handle, it disengages, and you're ready to fight. Poppers are a lot of fun. You gotta throw them from the front of the boat. I leave mine up right at the bow, and if I see a boil, I go run into the bow and I grab it before the boil's gone, and you can heave that out there and you're not gonna get your bird's nest. So they're a lot of fun. So we're gonna raffle this off. It's an Okuma reel, but it's a Californian. The Californian is our house brand. We also make rods, and we lifetime warranty them. No matter how you break them, drive them over the car, run into it, whatever you do, you get a new one for half price for life. And then we're donating a nice Graptec spinning rod rated 30 to 40. And I've got just a couple lures that Tady donated to that we're gonna raffle off. So we can do that, you guys can shop, and then Art and Celia, you've got a great raffle where you're gonna do it after, you'll contact them after, I guess.
Yeah, so everybody that participated this evening, you're eligible for 100 searcher bucks. So you can put that towards your trip, or you can put it towards your galley tab. Merchandise that you purchase on board the boat, or tackle, whatever. It's 100 searcher bucks to use on your trip. And we'll contact the winner of that tomorrow.
Okay, so then and everybody that's done on your questions, anybody not getting a question answered? Good? All right.
Good job, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead. You guys all have a ticket, right, with the number written on it? Yeah, let's do the first price first.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead while everybody has a ticket out there. You all have the
One of
same
those or two of those,
opportunity
yeah.
to get the grand prize here. You're gonna pull one out of the hat, and this rod and reel goes to number 6. Number 6, there you go.
Congratulations.
We got the box. Now we're gonna raffle off. Let's do one of these new $50 Tady lures, all rigged, ready for you to go. And this goes to number 19. Number 19. Are they here? Well, we passed them all out, right? No. Oh, okay, maybe 19 is not there.
Let's go one under that.
Yeah.
There you go. I picked one.
There you go. Number 14. Nope.
Don't you have to be here to win?
Yes, you do. That's what we're not
I think
calling
we gotta
them.
be here to win.
Number 12. Okay.
Sweet.
And then we'll do one of the assist hooks. And this goes to number 8. You end up getting a lure, you get in there. Oh, you have some lures too, or you might be able to use that. So. And then we've got another 6 hook, assist hook for you. And that will go to number 13. Nope.
Good luck, number.
Okay. How about number 1? Number 1, and you were the first person to call in and sign up. So.
All right.
And then we've got one more Tady jig, flat fall in the yellow glow, and this will go to number 16. Okay. Do another one. Number 4.
Teresa always wins something.
Awesome. Alrighty.
Yeah.
And then you're doing yours for the Facebook app
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
We'll announce
All
it
right.
tomorrow.
Well, we